Scott and Vicky Lawson are BioGro certified farmers who use precision agriculture techniques on their Hawke's Bay property. Produce from the farm is marketed through the True Earth brand. Scott explains how it all began.
We've been BioGro certified since 1994, which we started that process in 92. So our markets are primarily the domestic market, and then with focus on export blueberries. And occasionally we'll export some pumpkins or some onions as the overproduction of some of those other crops occur. We're farming 100 hectares now. Originally it was 170 hectares, including the vineyards and orchard production, and we're now back to 100 hectares of intensive vegetable production, including the blueberry production as well as vegetables. Yeah. True Earth is a name we started in 1999 with the help of a local advertising agency here. We've had, previously we were known as Kaiwhenua Farms. The business units are structured and there's three parts to the farm. We have the vegetable production farm, which encompasses maize and cereal crops as well too, and baleage for the organic dairy farms and hay. And then we have a post-harvest production packing area in the pack house, a vegetable packing site. And then we have the blueberry production and packing area, which is primarily export focused. There's definitely increasing demand for our organic products. Blueberries overseas in the Asian markets, I think there's fantastic opportunities. And for value-added products from New Zealand, Pitango soups, for instance, are a classic example of New Zealand's organic exports growing a lot. We've got some challenges with fresh export and phytosanitary type issues. But I think generally the market's increasing all around the world. The US market's still increasing even in recession times, of 15–20% year on year. Right at the right time to get these out. They look good, they look good. Well done. When we talk to our customers, we go to them with an open book policy. We say, this is our cost of production, this plus a small margin equals our sales price. This is the price we need to return to the farm to make it profitable and sustainable longer term. Can you help us with that? Is that going to work in the market situation? I don't like to talk about an organic premium over conventional production because the production costs are not related. If a conventional farmer is losing money at the moment, then for an organic producer to get a premium on that, they still may be losing money in a different cost structure in their business. The challenge to doing blueberries well in Hawke's Bay has been a lot of the blueberry industry has been centred in the past on peat soils in the Waikato. There's other smaller blocks growing outside of that as well too. But other local growers here in Hawke's Bay have proved that we can do it really well in Hawke's Bay on mineral-based soils. We have a high pH and a low organic matter content relative to the peat soils and the low pH soils of the Waikato. There's a crop understory as well under there. We put compost under the plants and then we use our straw from our wheat production to use as a weed mulch under there. And at this time of year, the grasses are starting to grow again, so in the springtime we'll lay that thatch down again. We've primarily planted very closely. The advice given to us 10 years ago, so when we were planting, was to be on row spacings 3 metres and 2 metres between the plants. We thought that seemed quite wide, so we planted 3 metres by 1 metre in the rows, and we may even go closer again. It's all about our production per hectare. The plant cost is not so great, it's the managing and the raising of the plants per hectare is the cost. As an organic farmer, precision ag can extremely help us. To us, it's about more input, more focus, more management and getting things right. And it's very hard these days to find people to drive a straight line all day long. So precision ag, and particularly RTK on the tractors, helps us a lot with that. That takes out the human factor, the variability, the tiredness, etc. Although we're very reliant on that technology working well for us, which can be a challenge at times with any new technology. So we're still finding our way through that. A lot of our vegetable production is bed-based production, so carrots, onions, potatoes are all tram-lined as such, so it's very important that we take the guesswork out of the approximation of one row next to the next row. So it's very, very critical in vegetable production that we have some nice, straight, accurate rows. This soil we're looking here at the moment is a silt loam over pumice. And primarily about half the farm's silt loam over pumice and half the farm's silt loam over stone. And we'll grow different crops in different areas at different times of the year to suit those particular soil types. And this field's under study at the moment with Landwise and the Advanced Farming Systems project, which is supported by the SSF, etc. It's a 12-hectare field of which we have grid mapped it to 50-metre square grids. And by that way, using GPS, we've marked out 50 metres. We take a soil test from each 50 metre square, and then we plot that and we look at the change in the soil pH primarily, and then we aggregate a few of those samples together, and then we look at the change in other macronutrients, our phosphates and our potassiums, etc. And then we adapt our fertiliser regime to those particular requirements that that soil needs in those areas. A stale seed bed is about identifying what seeds you have in there that potentially those weeds are going to compete with your crop. So know what's there for a start, and then do the final groundwork, as in that every time we till the soil, we bring up exposure of light to those seeds that are in the ground. So we minimise that disturbance of the soil getting closer to the planting time. Our deep cultivation will ideally stop a month to 6 weeks before we wish to plant. And then shallow cultivation to knock out the weed seeds that the crop that are going to compete with that crop in the 100mm bracket, really. You can see behind us there's a tractor weed burning, thermal weeding we call it, pre-carrot seed emergence. It's gently heating up the top of the soil. It's not sterilising the soil, because under a certified organic program you're not allowed to sterilise by either heat treating with a machine like this or solarisation of the soil. It's 300 degrees centigrade as a thermal air mass above the ground, which heats the soil to 25 to 30 degrees, and just the top soil profile. So no greater than a hot Hawke's Bay day. It definitely cleans up the weeds. In this stage, small seedlings are very easily controlled. Interesting enough, we can control things like clover and even convolvulus with multiple applications as well too. Generally speaking, the more biomass needed to control, the more heat you need, the slower you need to go. So it's very expensive compared to the chemical option there as well, but it's the only option we as organic growers have. To me, it's paramount that we have the BioGro certification label to help us sell our product, to offer our customers the integrity of the supply chain that we've produced and the food in that supply chain. And really, it doesn't mean anything if you have a spray-free product or somebody's organic. It doesn't mean anything unless you have this BioGro, the internationally recognised BioGro symbol that verifies that it truly is produced in a sustainable way under the organic system. Many of us can produce good quality crops. The difficult thing is really being able to sell it at a fair price that returns back to the farm what the farm needs to be economic longer term, sustainably. So we put a lot of focus into being a branded producer and hopefully being a price maker rather than a price taker.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.